Okay, we're trying to find some equivalent ratios here, and we have a ratio of 10 yards to 4 seconds, and we're trying to make an equivalent ratio with 25 yards and a certain number of seconds. Your first thought is to see how many tens go into 25, and count by tens to get to 25, and you can't do that. So you have two real options. You can think about this as equivalent fractions. 4/10, how many tenths would go into 25ths? You can't do that. So one thing you can do is do just like we do with finding equivalent fractions, where you write out multiples. If you can find a common multiple of 10 and 25, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then you count by 25s, 25 and 50. Aha! I've got a common multiple. So that's one way you could do it, because once you have a common multiple of these two, you can write that common multiple over here in the yards area, and then you know that, and then you've got to find the equivalent over here. So 10 times 5 would be 50. So 4 times 5 would be 20. And then now you have a multiple of 25. Now you can go from 50 down to 25. So 50 down to 25, that would be divided by 2. And so 20 divided by 2 would be 10. So there is one way you can get to it, to the answer of 10 seconds, finding a common multiple. But there's another way you can do it. The other way is to make this ratio into lower terms like you do with a fraction, and by that you're finding a common factor. So above we found common multiples. Now what if we find a common factor of 10 and 25? So the factors of 10 would be 1, 2, 5, and 10. The factors of 25 are 1, 25, and then just 5. So our common multiple here, or our common factor, is 5. Now, that'll only work to get to that factor if I divide 10 by 2, I get to 5. Okay, so I can get to 5 because, remember, when you're finding an equivalent ratio, I've got to divide both of these quantities by that amount. So luckily this works. 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. 4 divided by 2 gives us 2. So now we have the yards, that is a factor of our target ratio number, which is 25. So now we can go from 5 to 25 by multiplying by 5, and then from 2, we multiply 2 by 5, we get 10. So two different ways to get to an equivalent ratio. The way you'll want to use it depends on the number that you have. Sometimes you might not be able to find an equivalent factor, so it might be easier to find an equivalent multiple. But you've got these two options, so one of these strategies should work every time that you're able to find a common multiple or a common factor. Okay, try out those two strategies with your work today.